Hello everybody, John from Movie Burners here, back with another movie review, and today I'm going to be discussing the Marvel release Black Panther. Now, first things first, I'll get it out of my system and say I've been a long time admirer of Ryan Coogler. He's a supremely talented writer, director, and his collaborative works with Michael B. Jordan usually equal guaranteed magic happening. Mix this with my love of all things MCU related and you should have a match made in heaven here. What did I make of the film though? Well, I've seen it twice now, and I have to say, I got quite a bit of enjoyment out of it. I still don't think it's a flawless piece of cinema by any means. It has a few little niggling issues, which I will get into in due course. It's set almost immediately after the events of the magnificent Captain America Civil War, in which, of course, the former king of Wakanda, T'Chaka, is killed. This leaves T'Challa bestowed with the power of Black Panther, and he must return to his homeland pretty much immediately to be ushered in as the new king. And that's precisely what happens, but not before a very cool opening animated scene which really outlays the history of the country and the different tribes and so on. This scene incidentally is almost narrated in the style of a bedtime story by N'Jobu, the brother of T'Chaka, and is interconnected to the villain of the film later on in a way which I thought was very intelligent. You see, there's a flashback to 1992 in Oakland where the previously mentioned N'Jobu, who's stationed there as a spy for Wakanda, is really out for conspiring with Ulysses Claw to arm black communities outside of the country with vibranium. And shortly afterwards he's then confronted and killed by his own brother, leaving his young son orphaned in a strange country. Now, the true importance of this killing and abandonment on the story and its characters isn't felt until 20 odd years later in story terms and around the midway point of the film in cinematic terms, but suffice to say it's a hugely significant moment. Now, back to the present day, and like I mentioned, T'Challa heads back to his homeland for the hastily arranged coronation ceremony, accompanied by the badass that is Akori, played by Danny Gurira. He performs a quick-fire extraction operation in Nigeria on the way to bring his ex-lover and spy Nakia, played by Lupita and Nyong'o, home for his big day too. Now, I have to say, that moment that the ship finally burst through the holographic barrier, giving us a first sight of the frankly incredible Wakanda, is so cool. The city with its gleaming high-rise buildings, winding monorail, and an amazing juxtaposition of old and new is just a real treat for the eyes, as most things are in this film visually. We meet two main figures upon their arrival, those being Zuri, played by Forrest Whitaker, a spiritual advisor to the king, who just so happens to be harbouring a major secret, and Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, T'Challa's younger sister, who is also insanely intelligent and the provider of much of the very cool gadgets and technology that Black Panther uses. Both have their own significant large roles to play in the film going forward, but I digress. The ceremony gets underway in the most stunning of settings at Warrior Falls, and T'Challa is challenged by M'Baku of the mountain tribes. Now, the fight is fairly fierce, quick fire, but of course our man prevails, sparing his rival's life, and so he's declared king of Wakanda, well, for now at least anyway, and he then sets his sights on capturing and ending the travails of a permanent thorn in the side that is Ulysses Claw, played by the great Andy Serkis. He does this via a short hop to Korea, and we see Claw in a short little heist scene prior to this, alongside an accomplice who at this point is the unnamed Michael B. Jordan character. Now, Claw is apprehended temporarily before the shit really hits the fan in an escape spearheaded by Eric, who is the chap Michael B. Jordan is playing incidentally. During this, Martin Freeman's Everett K. Ross character, a CIA agent with a horrendous American accent, takes a bullet in the medley of Claw's escape. Now, until this point, probably around a third of the way into the film, Claw was clearly the main antagonist of the film. But shortly after this breakout, he's unceremoniously discarded by the now revealed true villain, Eric Killmonger, and things really pick up pace-wise after this. Eric makes his way to Wakanda and challenges T'Challa to a fight for the throne, revealing his true identity as the son of N'Jobu, and a brutal battle then plays out. And I have to say, the king is rather easily seen off. This scene honestly reminded me of the way that Bane said about Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. Such was the brutality of it, and it was just painful watching it. Now, Killmonger takes to the throne, and he really desires to utilise Wakanda's immeasurable technological power and vibranium to help empower the disenfranchised black communities worldwide. This is the real raison d'etre of the character, and one of the main themes explored by the film in general. Wakanda, until this point, had always chosen to remain secretive, keeping its wealth firmly to itself. I'm not sure if Coogler meant for the disappearance and implied death of T'Challa to be more impactful than it ultimately was, but it mirrored the arc that Caesar had in the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. In that film, I felt handled it just a bit better for me. Never at any point did I ever doubt that T'Challa would live and return, but to be fair, it did allow the film to travel to M'Baku's palace setting, so it wasn't all bad. Now, of course, T'Challa does indeed return to the fray, setting up one final battle in true Marvel style, and I thoroughly enjoyed this action-packed finale. It featured multi-perspectives, Everett had a part to play, as did Shuri, Ikori and Black Panther himself, and the death of Killmonger was actually quite poignant in a way, with his line about Njobu telling him stories about Wakanda as a boy, marrying in perfectly with that little opener. He was very much in the vein of a Roy Batty villain, and he's arguably the most complicated and best villain we've seen to date in a Marvel film. Much of that's down to Michael B. Jordan, who I can't praise enough. I just think the guy is oozing with talent that shines through in just about every film he's a part of. A sizable part of it is also down to the journey he's been in and how relatable the character was to his ethos and desire to liberate the oppressed minority isn't a very villainous cause. Indeed, he manages to change Black Panther's mind on Wakanda's continuing secrecy and ethos in general. Now, in terms of other noteworthy performances, I would probably spend a good 10 minutes talking about them alone, but Chadwick Boseman was outstanding as T'Challa as well. He imbued the character with raw power, athleticism and real emotion in parts, and his accent is so good that he honestly could fool me into believing he was actually from the African continent. Speaking of accents, hats off to Andy Serkis too. I absolutely love this man as an actor, and I was delighted to see him in a non-mocap role. He looked cool as with that haircut and the convincing South African accent, and you know, I was very disappointed to see him being killed off. Lupita and Nyong'o, Danai Gurira, Letitia Wright and Forrest Whitaker were all absolutely superb too. Lupita speaks for herself really. Gurira was incredible in some of the action sequences, almost gliding across the screen to deliver beatings in spectacular fashion. And you know, anybody that's watched Walking Dead will know what she's capable of. Shuri had such an upbeat, cheeky and infectious personality that really lit up every scene she was in, and that's all down to Wright. Zuri was a kind of tragic character too. He had to live with the death of his friend and really harbour the secrets of the role he had in it for 20 odd years. That was a great performance from Whitaker, certainly after the disappointment that was Rogue One. The overwhelming majority of this film I did love. The visuals were stunning, the CGI was masterful, none more so in the film's two trips to the ancestral realm. The bluish, deep violet tones of the ever-real sky really left me stunned with their beauty, and they added so much to those scenes. The costume designs and attention to detail in them too were great and had a real African vibe, as it should do. The score was cool. Ludwig Göransson did an outstanding job in capturing a real African feel throughout. He immersed himself in the continent, collaborating with artists from there, and you can tell it had a great blend of contemporary and classic stuff going on. Killmonger on the soundtrack probably perfectly typifies this, whilst the ancestral playing is probably my favourite. Now for my biggest gripe, or gripes, because there's a couple in there, the story to me felt a little average. I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was at first, but then it dawned on me, and it's really the handling of the villains in this film. The first hour of the film doesn't really have one. Claw was portrayed as the main villain, as I said, but he never felt like a serious threat to our heroes. Shuri was involved in a great chase scene early on in Korea, but that was really it. And then he was killed out of the blue. Why? Lord knows. Killmonger absolutely should have been more prominent from the beginning. Why he didn't step forward until around the halfway mark is truly beyond me. Things improved dramatically in this film when he did come to prominence. Even then though, I didn't really feel like T'Challa was ever in any danger. The final battle was enjoyable enough, as I mentioned, but it lacked the urgency and the scale that I've grown accustomed to in these films. The film was deliberately set on a smaller, more personal scale, admittedly, and it semi-worked when Black Panther was at odds with his father's legacy, betrayal, and even his inner conflict himself. Not so much so though when it came to big bombastic battles. In the end though, I did enjoy Black Panther, and that's down to the unique setting, the much superior second half of the film, and the performances in the main. For a film of this standing to feature a near all-black cast of incredibly talented actors and actresses is hugely significant, for the black community across the world, and I would highly recommend giving it a watch, and I'll be giving this a 4 out of 5. Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then do subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes and Google Play, whilst also giving us a little follow on Facebook at Movie Burner Entertainment and on Twitter at Movie Burners. You can also catch up with all the latest reviews we're putting out on the Movie Burner blog at movieburnerintertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.